Hey guys, Adrienne Green here with Bruce Seigel from Movement Mortgage.
Hey,
Thank
hey
you
you
for
two.
joining.
Thank you
Yes.
for being brave.
So Bruce is a lender here with Movement Mortgage, and he sent out an email last week that caught my eye and had a good conversation with that I thought would be useful to share with all of you. So the email was that Bruce here was excited about rates going up. So that's crazy. That's the opposite of what most lenders say, right?
Probably, yeah, I would imagine.
So can you kind of explain to everybody where that came from?
Yes. Why are you excited about new improved rate or higher rates?
Yeah.
So the problem that we saw in 2022, or the extremes, 2022 was the extreme year, and what we saw was first half of 2022, everything's flying off the, I mean, it's as bad as it's ever been in, a long time. You had to waive your appraisal to get an offer accepted. You have to waive your inspection. You have to bid over asking. God forbid you're a veteran, first-time home buyer.
You're not doing it.
Yeah. Go off to the side.
You're doing all of that pretty much to pay $100,000 for a cardboard box, right?
That you may or may not have actually gotten to look at in person. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. So, but rates were really good. Rates were looking good. We were coming off the tail end of COVID rates. So then, abrupt shift, midway, more or less, I'd say. Abrupt shift to rates, again, never in my ridiculously long career have I seen rates double in less than a year. So rates doubled, put an abrupt halt on that, had to quench that fire because it was runaway anyway, it was unsustainable.
Right.
And then you have the other extreme, in terms of demand. So you couldn't do anything about supply. Supply is a mess for a time to come, and we're going to talk about that. But they had to quell demand. It was the only other option. So they quelled it all right. And, with rates peaking 7%, the only people that were moving and getting new loans at that point were what I call the have-tos. There was no want to there. You're going to hang on to your 2-3% something rather than go double. So then November, we finally, hit what looks to be the peak in inflation.
Can I be excited about that, even though you like rates to go up?
Like them to go up that much.
Yeah.
I wanted to, again, just get over the hump. So November 10th, we saw indication, and subsequently we've seen overall indication that inflation's quelled, which allowed then about a % drop in interest rates. It basically went from 7 to 6.
Right.
And the nice thing about that, it wasn't 7 to 3. We didn't go back to the craziness the beginning half of 2022, but the people that were holding out were like, okay, 6, and then got a little bit of 5.99s and what have you. That's started it back up. That was my experience. From there, we've seen now they've actually just recently had a 0.5% uptick.
Right.
And that's, again, it's slowed things down a little bit, but the faucet's on. The faucet's just on low now. So what that does is it gives you, as they're trying to, what's your term, a normalized market?
A balanced market.
A balanced market, thank you. It gets us closer to some semblance of balance. So you still have, you have demand, you've got reasonable demand, not crazy rampant demand. Supply, I'm going to let you speak to because you've got some good stats on that. And it allows the first-time home buyer, the veteran, allows those people to actually get in there because oftentimes what they need to make everything work is a seller concession, and sellers aren't conceding anything
they weren't
in the runaway market.
In 22.
Why would they? So
that's true. We're seeing a lot more seller concessions now. That's true. So I think you make a good point that with where we are now, with the dynamics that they have, it is a win-win market. So the sellers are still winning. Houses are still selling for at a good return versus what they bought it. Sellers are still able to have some bargaining power there, and it's a win for these buyers, these people who want home ownership. If someone's using an FHA or a VA loan because they're a first-time home buyer or veteran, they're able to get in, they're able to get a little extra cash to help them make the numbers work as they get in, and we're able to all have that goal of home ownership. The seller can move on from a house that no longer works for them, and the buyers can get in that house and have all of the wealth building aspects that come from home ownership.
Absolutely. So the The issue that I see and that I've seen since I've moved here, we're both transplants, and
Yes.
the issue that I think we've seen it was shared in is when you're a transplant, you come in from a much higher priced market and you see what's available here, even at today's prices. It's pretty exciting. It's like, I'll take two. This is good stuff.
I'll take two houses.
Right?
That is not wrong. Californians come in and definitely think that.
Yeah, one for me, one to rent. So when you live here, though, and you go from what you think a house should cost to what it's the price is now, it's pretty daunting, and it also sparks kind of a hey, maybe I want to wait. But I've been here since 2017. No one that has done any waiting has done themselves any favors.
Right.
And everyone that I've gotten into a house is excited to have climbed aboard what is being subsidized by the influx of outsiders.
Right.
So
and that's a good point. So that gets to one of the other myths that we were talking about of people have this idea of, especially if they've been in Chattanooga forever, I remember when this house cost $150,000. The fact that it's $300,000 now is highway robbery. No way is that sustainable, right?
No one's going to pay that.
Right. Prices are going to fall, and that's a big myth that I think we've both seen. As long as we've ever been in real estate, people think, oh, it's going to fall. The thing is, if you look back at history, and you have the chart of house prices, right? There's little blips. That being said, over time, we're seeing typically 4 to 6% appreciation across the board in the U.S. housing market since they first started tracking it in, the early 1900s, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So, if somebody was to buy a house today, I think we can be safe to say that, excluding an unusual event, they're going to pay less than if they go to buy it in 6 or 12 months from now. Does that seem fair?
Highly likely. And let's qualify that with a couple of things, because there's someone out there that's saying, oh yeah, what about the Great Recession? What about the bursting bubble? Okay, there was a bubble and it did burst. We were overbuilt, to the tune of millions of houses. We went crazy. We actually built faster than we birthed, so.
Wow.
So that's
yes,
pretty,
that's what happened.
Right? So yes, if you have, it's just Econ 101, supply and demand. If you have too much of something and, the price is gonna come down. Since then, that was over a decade ago, but since then we have yet to catch up, even begin to catch up in terms of building rather than household formations. Kids that are ready to, start and be homeowners themselves. So we're now, and the numbers are staggering, we're 4 million houses short nationally. That's a huge number. Even in the last year, and you're like, well, wait, but they're building now, they know, and they're catching up. They're not catching up. Right now, we had just under 2 million, 1.9 million formations, new household formations, people ready to buy a house. And we built 1.5 million houses. So even this year, we just fell behind another 500,000 or so houses.
Yes.
So you don't have, I call it a housing drought. When you don't have, we know droughts, right?
Yes, we do.
We've seen those. So ongoing housing drought. So when you don't have enough, you're hard pressed to get, a price reduction. Now people say, but what about the median price? What about the median prices coming down? The median price coming down simply means that the lower priced homes, more of the lower priced homes, what I call the needs, I need a roof over my head, are selling, and fewer of the high-priced homes, the wants, I want the Taj Mahal, fewer of those are selling. So when the median price comes down, it's not indicative of falling prices, because water doesn't get cheaper when you're in a drought.
Yes, and so the idea is that, we might see, so what he's referring to is in January, we saw that Chattanooga's median house price was around $300,000, and that was, I think, a 2% drop from January of last year, of 2022. The thing is, what he's saying is, let's say we took a house, 123 Main Street, it didn't necessarily cost 2% less this year than last year. If 123 Main Street was a $200,000 house last year, it probably cost $220 this year, $230, somewhere in that range. The issue is more of those $200,000 houses were sold as a percentage of the overall market this January versus last January, because those luxury premium houses in our market, that's when, when the market shifts or we have this transition, the volume of those people who are buying those houses has gone down, right? People in that segment, are maybe not moving up to houses, right? With the interest rate change, that tends to hit that highest purchase prices the hardest. And so that's a really good point to the dynamic that I think a lot of people, when they just look at the big picture numbers, don't understand.
Absolutely. So here's an, if I may, I mean, just cutting to the chase on this, my Chattanoogans, my locals, please look at this market as an opportunity, because with so many other people coming in, I mean, this is a beautiful town. We love it. You know, this is a great town, and more of us are going to continue to love it, you know, for better, for worse. But if you're an owner, then you ride that wave. You get aboard the equity arc, you stabilize your mortgage, and you don't drown in increasing rent. You don't make your landlord rich. You make yourself, you know, you build wealth for yourself and your family. So, you know, I mean, if you can afford it, if it makes sense for you, I mean, we just need to look at the numbers, see where we are. And you know, if you can do it now, you may even get there's a good chance as we go towards recession that there's going to be an interest rate reduction. Can't count on it. We never want to count on something like that. You have to be comfortable with the payment where it is right now. But don't let everyone that's coming in, you know, benefit from, you know, this incredible area, this incredible thing that is Chattanooga and the Chattanooga area.
When you mentioned something good there that I think we've talked about, some people may be on the fence thinking, oh, well, right now, interest rates, they just had a little bump. Let me wait till the summer. I think interest rates are going to go down, and then my dollar's going to go further. I'm going to be able to buy more house or something like that. The thing is, when interest rates go down, what's going to go up?
Yeah. I mean, we're back to, you know, flashback of 2022.
Right.
So everyone, it's like the cake and eat it too, you know? You want the lowest rates, the lowest prices, and the lowest demand. Well, pick two, because you know,
you can't have all of them.
It's not realistic, but you can refi once you've bought.
Right.
You do have refi potential, refi opportunity. But again, I just, you know, you have to be okay with the mortgage that you have now. The nice thing is, once you have that mortgage, you start to get raises, you know, and what have you at work. The mortgage becomes a smaller part of your total monthly hit. Now, is that going to happen with your rent? I mean, you know, if you're a renter now, you know what happens with your rent and what's likely to continue.
It usually goes up every year. And you also had an interesting statistic thinking about, you know, the fact that housing prices are anticipated to continue. You had expected appreciation for the Chattanooga market?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I think national market and Chattanooga falling right into it. If anything, Chattanooga being insulated in that we're not, you know, we talk about how unaffordable we are compared to what we were 5 years ago. Go to New York, go to, you know, any other bigger city, you know, and we are much less unaffordable, if you will, much more affordable, much less unaffordable.
Yes.
You know? But 25% is, over the next 5 years, is the reasonable projection. Again, that ties into the 5% annually.
So
we're talking about,
overall, look at history, we expect 4 to 6% appreciation per year in the real estate market here in the U.S. So that falls right in the middle of that, you know, that 5% over the next 5 years. And so if we take that median house price right now of $300,000, if we figure it's going to be worth 25% more in 5 years, we're looking at $375,000. So if you buy that $300,000 house today, in 5 years you've created $75,000 worth of equity. You've increased your net worth $75,000. In addition to you've paid down your equity and all the other, you paid down your principal, all the other benefits. You've had tax benefits with the depreciation, all of that. So there's some notable, I mean, we're really big on building wealth through real estate and how transformational that can be. And, you know, you're really highlighting a lot of those points where your primary residence is a part of that. It's a big part of that.
Well, it's a lot of people's only forced savings plan. I mean, I see, you know, the unique part of my job is I look under the hood with everybody. I know everyone's finances, okay? No one else, you know, virtually no one, the accountant, if you will. But seeing everyone's finances, so many people are living, you know, in general, let alone with the inflation we have right now, are living so hand to mouth that this is, you know, ends up being down the road when they're looking to retire and so on and so forth and do something for their children and break, you know, generational challenges.
Right.
The house and the equity in the house is, you know, by and large, the thing that just kind of sort of happened while they were paying to live somewhere anyway. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of good reasons to take a really good look at, you know, what you're doing and look at the options that you have now that you won't have when demand, you know, when we go back to a higher demand environment.
That's very true. So I love this. I think that we really highlighted a lot of good points of the market right now. I love that it's a balanced market. It's a good time for sellers to be out there. It's a good time for buyers to be out there. Everybody is winning, which, like, win-win is one of my core beliefs. So I'm excited about that. And Bruce is here to help with your mortgage needs. We're going to have all of his information in the notes below the video so you guys can reach out to him. He's a great local lender here who provides fast service and really knows his stuff because you've been in it for like a million years, right?
A million plus. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
It's true. It's all true, yes.
So,
decades, absolutely.
Yes, so he knows all the details and is super helpful. So thank you so much, Bruce, and
Thank you
I'm
for
sure a lot of
having me.
people will reach out.
My pleasure. Thanks. Bye, guys.